Sacrifice on your part. I want to thank Rabbi Groups because he spent a lot of time putting this whole thing together. So let's give him a big hand. So let's talk a little about the Haggadah. You say Manishtana, right? Somebody's going to say those 4 questions, and then what happens right after that? You give an answer, don't you? My child asks a question, my child wants an answer. And what's the answer? What's the first words? Avadim Mayinu, Lefaro B'Mitzrayim, V'yotzeinu Hashem. Does anybody remember the next word? V'yotzeinu Hashem. Well, if you don't remember the next word, it's because you're a Bible scholar. And because V'yotzeinu Hashem, Misham B'yot Hazakah. That's not the text of the Haggadah. Avadim Mayinu Lefaro B'Mitzrayim. We were servants to Pharaoh in Egypt. Vayotzienu Hashem Elokeinu. And Hashem, and what does Elokeinu mean? Our God took us out from Egypt with a strong hand. There's only one little problem. The author of the Haggadah is alluding to a verse in the Torah. And the word Elokeinu doesn't exist in the pasuk in Devarim, in the verse in Devarim. The pasuk says, "Vayotzeinu Hashem misham b'yad chazaka." The word Elokeinu, our God, doesn't appear there. Why would the author of the Haggadah insert the word, "and our God took us out with a strong and outstretched hand and arm"? Any ideas? Oh, you came here to hear me, I suppose. Okay, so I'll give you the answer quickly that Rabbi Soloveitchik brilliantly says. He suggests the following. He says, in that passage it says, and if God didn't take us out of Egypt, where would we be still? Where would we still be?
Egypt.
In Egypt, servants, slaves. Give me a break. Would we really be, after all these years, 3,000 plus, 3,500, almost 4,000 years later, we would still be slaves in Egypt? Rabbi Soloveitchik says, the word Elokeinu is the code to the entire concept. Elokeinu means I have a personal relationship with God. He's my God. He's our God. That means I follow His code, His law. When I follow His law, I become a free person. Every one of us thinks we're free, but we're not really free. We're all worried about our health. We're worried about our finances. We're worried about relationships. Do we have relationships? Don't we have relationships? Will the relationships still exist? Will my health remain good? We all are burdened with a lack of freedom in life. We're servants to those worries. The only way you can become really free is if you have a relationship with the Almighty Himself. When you have a relationship with the Almighty Himself, and He becomes our God, your God, my God, then you can become a free person. And if you didn't create that relationship, you would still be like the servants back in Egypt. And that's why the Baal Haggadah, the author of the Haggadah, added those words. One word, because it tells you the entire concept of what Pesach is all about. You see, in this I want you to talk about at your Seder. Is Pesach just a reenactment of an experience that happened to our people thousands of years ago? Or is it supposed to be my story? We're going to talk about that a little later. It's supposed to be my story. If it's supposed to be my story, how do we make it my story? And I think you should challenge everybody around the table on Seder night asking them, how's it your story? How's it your story? How's it your story? And the word Elokeinu creates that answer. I'm going to demonstrate to you through the evening a few more points like that. But let's just take one more point. Avadim hayinu lefaro b'mitzrayim. Let's translate those words. Avadim hayinu, we were servants to Pharaoh in Egypt. A biblical scholar would say, Avadim hayinu, that's not really found in the Bible. Avdei paro is found in the Bible. Avdei vayomru, avdei paro. And the servants of Pharaoh said, throughout the Torah, the expression is avdei paro, not avadim hayinu lefaro. What is the difference between avdei paro and avadim hayinu? So I'm going to ask you a question. I go over to you and I ask you, could you please tell me a little about this gentleman? And you know him well. And what do you tell me? So you tell me he's a lawyer, he's a doctor, he's a this, he's a that. Have you answered my question? Not at all. You've told me his status in life. You've told me superficially what he does. But you haven't told me anything about him. But if you turn to me and you tell me, he's a nice guy, he's pleasant, he's moral, he has patience. Have you told me about the person? Yes. Now, pay close attention. Avadim hayinu lefaro b'mitzrayim. What does avadim describe?
Slaves.
Slave, a job, or the identity? Does it? Avadim hayinu lefaro. Are we describing a job? Are we describing the identity of the Jewish people? Avadim hayinu is a job. They were servants in Egypt. But that's not who they really were. Because the Jews in Egypt never lost their belief that they would one day be free. You see, they were descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob knew they had a destiny. So they were only avadim hayinu lefaro b'mitzrayim. Avdei paro is a description of who they really are. And we were never avdei paro. Who were avdei paro? Vayamru avdei paro. That verse, and the servants of Pharaoh said, who were they? They were the Egyptians. The ancient Egyptians never saw themselves beyond avdei paro. They never had a belief that they were ever going to get out of that problem of being slaves. But the Jews were never avdei paro. Now you say something very special at the Seder. It's called Hallel. And what do we call the Jew in Hallel? Hallelujah avdei Hashem. Why do you say avdei Hashem? Because you want to describe the Jew? The Jew, his identity, her identity, is she or he is an Eved Hashem, a servant of God. And when you're an Eved Hashem, then you're really a real free person. So avadim hayinu, let's wrap this up. Avadim hayinu is a description of a job, of a status in society. But we never wanted to be that. That wasn't our goal, and we broke away. And we became Avdei Hashem. The goal of the Jew is always to be an Eved Hashem. Avadim hayinu, a description of our job. Avdei paro, a description of their identity. Elokeinu is added because our relationship in terms of freedom is because we have a relationship with God. We'll continue seeing this in other places in the Haggadah as well. Those are the first points that I wanted to share. Rabbi. There you go.